There are two waterfalls in the Pueblo of Yelapa. Today we're going to hike up to the one less visited by tourists. It's along the river, and we're also going to go past that and look at some rapids. The hike to the falls is only 2.5 miles long, or 4 kilometers. I would rank it as a medium difficulty hike, only in that the last little section, a few hundred meters, you need to scramble over a few rocks to get down to the river. The rest of the hike is quite easy. If you elect to then go to the rapids after the falls, that'll add an extra 2 kilometers to your hike. In this video, I'll give you instructions on how you can do this yourself without the need of a tour operator. The first step is to get yourself to Yelapa, and you do that via water taxi. You can catch a water taxi at the Los Muertos Pier. It'll cost you 250 pesos each way. But if you want to have a little more of an adventure and save a little bit of money, I would recommend that you take the bus for 10 pesos at the corner of Paseo Badillo and Constitution. And you ride that to the end. It's about a 25 to 35 minute bus ride to Boca de Tamatlan, where you can grab a water taxi there for a price of 120 pesos each way. The water taxi will take about 20 minutes to reach Yelapa, and it should drop you off on the east dock. Once you're back on dry land again, proceed on down the beach. And when you're at the beach clubs, you'll notice a series of passageways that will take you to a laneway behind the beach clubs. Just head to those, hang a right, and head towards the river, and just follow the path along the river to the suspension bridge. The suspension bridge is right across from the public school. Once you're across the suspension bridge, continue to follow the river. The river will now be on your left-hand side. Then after a kilometer, you'll come to your last city structure, which is the pump house on the river, basically the city water supply. And at this point, you'll have to cross the river yourself on foot, but the good news is in December and later, the river level is only about knee-high. And it's mostly sandy, so it's not very difficult to get across. Then after a few hundred meters walking along the path, you'll find that you'll have to cross the river again. Again, the water is not very fast and it's relatively shallow, no more than knee-high. And this will put you back on the path on the right-hand side of the river, so the river will be to your left as you continue up it. Now, there's not a lot of signs, at least when we went in 2024, pointing out where the waterfalls is, but if you see anybody, you can just ask them and they'll just confirm to you that you're going in the right direction. So, from the beach, approximately 3 kilometers or a little less than 2 miles. On your left-hand side, you're going to see an open fence line or gate, and you want to pass through that little fence line or gate, follow that path for half a mile or 0.8 kilometers, and that will take you directly to the falls. At this point, the hike goes from easy difficulty to what I would say medium difficulty. It's only for about a couple of hundred yards or meters, and the reason I say it becomes medium is that the path becomes less defined because you're basically crossing over rocks. The rocks aren't slippery, but you are sort of climbing over them to get down to the bottom of this ravine where the water is, and also to the falls. And speaking of the falls, here it is. We were pleasantly pleased to see that there was quite a bit of water going over the falls, and there was a pool just behind the one at the base that was quite calm and very easy to get in and out of. So our last step to getting there was to scramble over a few more rocks, and that's where we found these steps somebody's put in. Unfortunately, they were a little bit overgrown. I think we're one of the first people to come here this winter, so I imagine over the course of the winter, this vegetation will either die down or be trampled down, and it'll make it a little bit easier. And this is a great access point here, by the way, at the base of these stairs to get into the water. Of course, if you want to get a little closer to the base of the falls and enter the water there, you just need to scramble over a few more rocks, but probably the easiest way to get there is enter the water here and then sort of walk or swim on over. This is an absolutely beautiful spot. We're all by ourselves. As I said, it was early December, and there's not a lot of tourists at this time of year, but come January, February, I think you're going to find a lot of people in this area. So here we are at the pool right beside the falls. It wasn't much of a hike to get there. You can see how clear and green the water is. Absolutely gorgeous, and the water temperature was fantastic. No difficulty getting into it at all. Unfortunately for my camera, the sun was just overhead, and every time I tried to focus on the falls and I get a nice clear picture, the sun was basically shining into the lens, so I apologize for that, but it was the best I could do on this day. But I think you can appreciate how nice this falls is and how much water is going through in mid-December. So following a little bit of time at the falls, we headed on back to the gate, which we turned off on to go to the falls here. That's the 3 kilometer mark or 2.5 mile. And we headed on down the path again. And we followed that path for approximately 1 kilometer, half a mile, and it ended at the river. And we followed the river up a little bit until we found some nice pools and rapids just to hang out at. Therefore, we are now about 4 kilometers or 2.5 miles from the beach. So once again, here's a map showing what our path was today. We walked from the beach and then hung a left and went to the waterfalls, came back from the waterfalls and continued along the path to the rapids and stream. We then made our way back to Yelapa, and at one of the beach clubs, we had a great lunch. Ceviche, burritos, and tacos, of course with a few reward beers. Perfect way to end our hike. We then made our way back to the west side pier and grabbed a water taxi. Well, we're heading back from Yelapa to Boca de Tomatlan to catch our bus. We just got on our water taxi. So the water taxi ride, again, will take us about 20 minutes to get to Boca, and then you just have about a 5-minute walk up the hill to where the buses will come, and the buses should arrive every 10 minutes to take you back to Puerto Vallarta. Now, I believe the last official water taxi leaves Yelapa at around 6 o'clock, so it's best to be gone by then. We're leaving about 4:30. We always enjoy grabbing the water taxi back to Boca de Tomatlan. It's just a perfect way to end off a great hike with a relaxing ride on the water taxi back to the city. Again, we also enjoy sitting with the locals and other tourists using the bus. Great vistas out of the bus windows of the waterfront, the beach clubs, the hotels, and so forth. Just a perfect way to end the day. Did a longer version of this video where I basically incorporated the hike to the waterfalls along the river as well as the hike to the falls in the city. So it gives you a lot more details, basically walks you through almost step by step all the way there. It's quite long, almost an hour and a half, but it gives you all the details. So if you found this video useful and enough, then so be it. But if you want to feel a lot more comfortable and see a lot more of the path or the hike itself, check out that video. And if you like my videos, please like and subscribe. You'll get a lot more content, mostly at Puerto Vallarta, but other places that I travel to. So here we are back in Boca de Tomatlan. So once you get off on the pier here, you just got to follow the roadway up and hang your first left, go to the top of the hill, and that's where you'll catch your bus. And the buses typically come about every 10 minutes, but if you want to get back a little bit faster, there's generally taxis and Ubers along the street here as well. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like and subscribe.